And Bonds hits one high. It's a deep. It is out of here. 7:56. Bonds stands alone.
Now Booker with Tucker on him. Throws it up for 8. Shot blocked by Antetokounmpo. What a block from Giannis.
17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead.
Minute remaining. And they're putting Curry in the pick and roll, trying to get him on Irving. Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good! Kyrie Irving from downtown!
We're sending it in, Jerome. That's for damn sure.
Yes. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Taproom Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan. Stacks on Stacks, lads. Joined with my guy, Mr. AK Aaron Kidd. What's up, Aaron? How we doing tonight?
Jordan, doing great, man. Me and my buddy Adam Trigger have been cashing some AAA today, so
Yes,
3-0 to start the evening. So that's always a good sign after cashing a KBO move on the Kia Tigers this morning. So starting off great here tonight. How are you doing tonight, Jordan?
I'm doing good. We'll be doing better if the Padres can pull this out and the Mariners can pull this out. Marlins let me down, but that's nothing new there. They do that pretty often, so I'm used to it. But man,
I actually did tell you on the Padres as well, so I'm rooting for the Padres for you as well.
bro, they should have at least 4 runs. Tatis got robbed of a 2-run bomb. Then they had runners on second and third, no outs, and of course, couldn't score a run. So here they are, typical Padres, dude. Right? Man. With that being said, got an excellent show on deck. We're gonna be breaking down some couple games, but we've been skidding a lot. And so I really wanted to get his opinion on the state of the Diamondbacks here in Arizona. So before we get to that, everybody make sure to subscribe to our YouTube, youtube.com/@taproomsportspodcast. Also twitch.tv/taproomsports. Get notified when we go live. We appreciate y'all for hanging out. If you're in the chat, let us know. If you have any questions, let us know. We'll be happy to answer them. So with that being said, AK, the floor is yours on the D-backs, man, because it's been a painful few weeks here.
Yeah, Jordan, I would actually say it's been about a painful month and a half. They were one of the hottest teams coming out first couple months of the season. Started fading a little bit there in June, but the last I guess you will say call it 6 weeks have just been excruciating. I I actually have played the Diamondbacks a few times this week, just almost like being pot committed, right? Like they've got to win one, right?
Yep.
And they've had some excruciating losses. Early on in the season, their one the knock on them, if you will, was besides outside of Kelly and Gallen, they don't have starting pitching, and actually, oh by the way, they don't have relief pitching either. Actually, they've been pitching great as of late.
Yep.
The starters and the bullpen, they made a couple moves at the deadline. Picked up Sewald, who hasn't even had opportunity to close a game yet, but they got rid of Chafin and a few others, moved some people around, and when I'm looking back here in the last 8 games, they haven't allowed over 4 runs. So, they've been pitching well. If you go back and look at some of those early games early in the season, they were winning games 8-6, 9-7, 9-5. I mean, they were having to out hit people. Well, quite the opposite has happened now. They're pitching with the best of them. They just can't hit the ball. The whole team's in a slump. They've kind of moved the lineups around. They've tried Perdumo leading off. They tried a couple times at Carroll leading off, and then they'll sit Marte and they'll give Christian Walker days off, and then they just have nothing, right? Bottom half of that lineup's not hitting. They bring Tommy Pham over from the Mets, hoping to get a bat. Gurriel is finally hitting. He's actually had a couple home runs in the last couple of games, but the problem is they're solo home runs. I was so infuriated. I was on the Diamondbacks. I'm thinking it was Tuesday night, and they go up 3-0
Yep.
off of 3 solo home runs. Now, they could have had anybody on base, take a couple competitive at bats, get a walk, whatever. Game should be 5-0, 6-0. They ended up losing that game 4-3. Kept Gallen in, maybe a third of it in too long. My point of all that is the team is just completely flipped. They've got pitching going on now, but now they just can't seem to hit the ball at all. And a team with that much speed, probably as far as speed, probably one of the fastest teams in the league, in my opinion. With Carroll and some of those guys, all that they got to do is get on base. And it seems like Corbin Carroll's the third base, right after he gets on base. They just can't hit right now, Jordan. So sorry for the tangent, but Diamondbacks are a team that's near dear to my heart. My biggest
Your biggest what?
I said that, they're my biggest regular season investment. As far as the future goes, I have them for a lot at over 75.5 wins. I actually have some on 74.5 wins as well. But my point of that is I followed this team ever since the end of last season, and they just don't seem to have any energy.
No,
right?
not at all.
Like I've watched every second of like every game up until tonight, like the last 9 or 10 games, probably every pitch, and they just don't seem to have any energy. So sorry for my tangent, but very frustrating team right now, Jordan.
Yeah, it's we were talking the other night, and I feel like that Lourdes Gurriel, his downfall is kind of when the Diamondbacks started plunging in June, because he came into June, he was hitting like 352. Well, in June, he hit 190, and in July, he only hit 170. So it's really like that's kind of the encompassing thing of their turnaround, really. And a big part of that is because you have Perdomo, Marte, and Carroll as your top three. And it's like you need production after that. Like you have to get some kind of production, because or else they're just gonna pitch around those guys, right? Like Perdomo's still hitting, Marte's still hitting. Carroll, he has like slipped a little bit, but I mean he's still getting on base, he's still hitting a little bit. But Gurriel's his regression has absolutely destroyed that team. And like you said, Christian Walker as well. Evan Longoria was hitting really well. I think he's hurt right now, which
he is and has been. Yeah. And so Jordan, I'll finish answering your question with this. As somebody that follows this Diamondbacks team closely, without looking it up, I can't tell you exactly when it was, but if I had to guess, it was probably around July 4th. They go into Toronto, right? And at this point, the Diamondbacks have, I think it was a 4 or 5 game lead in the NL West, right? And they go in Toronto and they're like, okay, the Blue Jays were hitting at the time. The Blue Jays were not that far out of the AL East either. They were way ahead of the Orioles at this point. They're catching up on the Rays. Everybody's like, okay, this is a big series between the Diamondbacks and the Blue Jays, right? Diamondbacks go to Toronto and just get fucking murdered, right? Just murdered. I can't remember the scores, but they were like 10-1, 9-2, 7-3, right? Whatever it was.
Yeah.
They just get manhandled. And it was like, I don't know if it was a coming to earth moment, right? Like we realized who we think we are now, or we're not who we thought we were, right? And ever since that series, it's just been downhill from there, man.
Yeah, no, it really has. It's been shocking, and now, I mean, it would basically take a miracle for you not to hit your win total, but I mean, like, it is, we only have a month and a half left of the season, and you still need 17, 18 wins, and at the pace they're at right now, are you even a little bit worried that this might there's going to be a sweat, and what looked like it was going to be a no sweat?
Full transparency, the thought has crossed my mind, but I say all of this to say this. I do think at some point there's going to be a bet on, right, that as much negative regression as we've seen from them, there's some positive left in there, right? Evan Longoria gets healthy. Tommy Pham settles in. Tommy Pham made the comment the other day, the Arizona Diamondback Stadium's one of the only stadiums he's never hit a home run in, right?
Oh, shit.
And so that's there. And you get guys like your boy from the A's, Jace Peterson.
Yeah.
And you get McCarthy back swinging the bat. Some of these guys at the bottom of the lineup, these 7, 8, 9 guys can start hitting the ball a little bit. I'll say this: I loved getting the closer, getting Sewald from the Mariners, but I texted you actually and said I hate it. We had to give up Canzoni,
Yeah.
right? And he was really starting to come around in that 6th, 7th hole. And I'm trying to remember. We were on them last Saturday?
Yeah,
Is
it was
that
against
right?
the Mariners actually.
Yeah, it was against the Mariners. That's right. It was against the Mariners. And you remember Canzoni was the one that provided us with the life,
Yep.
right? He hits a shot to right field and gave us some life, and of course ended up coming back and winning that game. And I said, man, out of all the people that they traded and gave, I said that's the one person I really didn't want to give up. Um, so to answer your question, I haven't started to sweat it yet, but we start trickling down to mid-August, end of August. That may be a different story.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, in June we thought for sure that we thought it was going to catch by August.
Yep.
We were like, oh, this is going to be a no sweat for this over. Was there any? What was some good moves for the trade deadline for you? Like, who were some winning teams at the trade deadline? Who were some losing teams in your opinion?
Okay, I'll start with my New York Yankees. Right. If anybody follows the show, I am a Yankees fan.
Dog shit.
I don't try to be that Yankees fan, if that makes sense, right? Like you don't see me on Twitter or social media just blasting about the Yankees and things like
Yankees
that.
Twitter is the most toxic ever.
Yeah, so I try not to be that guy, right? It doesn't make me any less of a fan or any more of a fan than anybody else. I try not to be that guy. I I, I thought that they either had to go left or they had to go right, and they just went back,
Yeah.
right? There's many ways they could have attacked it, uh, and they just didn't. It was almost like we're going to sit back and see what we can get for some rentals, or we're going to want the world for this guy or this bad contract, and then okay, we're just not going to do anything, right?
Yep.
Um, you know, as far as people that I thought may have did pretty well, I, I, I I actually, and I know you didn't like this move, but I like the Orioles kind of staying put, right?
Uh, it's not that I didn't like it. It's just the fact that I explained it on Sunday's show too. It was more, or not Sunday show, Tuesday show. It was more so the fact that it's like you're the best team in the AL right now, and you have one deficiency, and it's your starting rotation, right? And obviously, like, you don't want to jeopardize your future for a rental player, but at the same time, there's like no guarantee you're ever going to be this good again. Like, what if Adley were to get hurt next year, God forbid, or something happens to Gunnar Henderson, or there's just you can't just predict the future. You know what I mean? And I think when you have an opportunity to go do something, I think you should go do it. And like the fact that Verlander and Scherzer, well, let's go back. I think the Angels absolutely fucked up the trade market trading for Giolito. They gave up two of their top three prospects for a dude they're only going to have for 2 months, a rental player. Gave up two of their top prospects, and I think that screwed the entire market up because now every team that was selling a starting pitcher is like, well, this is what Giolito got, so this is the start. This is the beginning, right? Outside of Scherzer, who had a $40 million contract, and Verlander, right? But even Verlander got two top three prospects for Houston. Now, the problem with Baltimore is two of their top three prospects are way better than every other team's two of their top three prospects. So it makes no sense for Baltimore to go get a guy like Verlander or Scherzer or Giolito because they're rental players. Now, the talks start heating up with Dylan Cease, and I was like, now that's something that's interesting because Dylan Cease is under club control for a few years. So not only do you get him this year, but you get him beyond. And then I started to hear that they want Jackson Holiday. I'm like, all right, well, this is stupid. Like, I wouldn't trade Jackson Holiday for Cease, especially the way he's pitching this year. But I also
he's been terrible.
He has, and I also think part of Mike Eliash's thought process too is like, okay, we got Grayson Rodriguez back, and Grayson Rodriguez has been great, so maybe that's our ace. You know what I mean? And I think that could be something. And it's crazy because like everyone shits on Dean Kramer, but he wins. He keeps his team in ball games. And then, hopefully Tyler Wells gets the fatigue out and comes back strong in the stretch run, and maybe you can use him, in the out of the bullpen. But at the same time, you only need to get to the 7th inning, And then you got some of the best relievers in baseball to close the game out. And I think that's the big thing that Mike Elias is looking at. We don't need a couple aces. We just need a lead going into the 6th, 7th inning. We'll be all right. So I don't hate what the Orioles did. I just thought that they could have done more. And Flaherty was great in his first start. You know, and if they get that Flaherty that was once a Cy Young contender, I mean, he could come back to form. You know, this is only his, like, what? He came back middle of last year from Tommy John. So he's not that far removed. So, I mean, hopefully you can get something positive from him.
And to your point, Jordan, that's kind of the segue I had for you there set up with. I think the Orioles didn't lose by not selling, right? You didn't give up Jackson Holiday. You didn't give up any of the younger guys, Westberg, Gunnar Henderson. You know, we can go on Allie Rushman. None of those guys to try to mortgage your future. But also, I know we never like to talk about the sellers at the deadline, right? It's not pretty. It's kind of ugly, actually. I personally did not have a penny on White Sox futures coming into this season, but a lot of sharp friends of mine did. They were really high on that White Sox team, and I wasn't necessarily not high on them. I just wasn't high enough to place a future on them, but I have tried riding them some during the year, and gosh, they know they've left me down too many times. But I will say, man, I think the fact that they finally said, okay, I'm waving the white flag, right? It just hasn't worked. It didn't work. And something I looked up before the show, they landed 5 out of the top 9. If you were to all the prospects that were traded, you were to grade them from 1 to 9 in top 100 prospects. They got 5 out of the 9 that were moved.
Yep,
it's a way to rebuild a farm system, man, and try again, right?
Yep, no, I agree. I do think that they messed up not trading Tim Anderson though, because Tim Anderson's a free agent. You know, I think teams could have used him. I also thought, like, they started saying, like, oh, we're going to listen on Lou Bob and Dylan Cease. And, like, I look at Lou Bob and I'm like, okay, that dude's untouchable, right? But, you know, you could sit down and listen and see what a team has to offer. Because what if they give you, you know, a haul for that player? Talk about rebuilding your farm, because, you know, we're 3 years into this White Sox team and, like, they've underachieved more and more every single year. So with that being said, I just thought, you know, yeah, they waved the white flag. They probably did it a year too late, but at least they got, like you said, like, they got a nice haul for Giolito, who's a average pitcher at best. And then you get rid of Lance Lynn for whatever you can get. Basically, if you could get a Pepsi machine, that would be great, because I mean that's what he's worth. But yeah, I think they did a good job. Jake Berger actually got a really good return too.
Yep.
So yeah, man, hats off to the White Sox. I also thought the Mets did a good job, even though they had to shell out money for the salaries, but at least they got, you know, some good prospects for those guys. Because I don't think I talked about Scherzer before. I didn't think Scherzer had any trade market, based on what the return was with Texas. And then Verlander obviously had a no trade clause, so he got to really dictate where he wanted to go. But, you know, getting back to the top 3 prospects from the Astros organization for a 40-year-old pitcher who is only under contract for 1 more year, I thought the Mets did a great job. And we talk about waving the white flag, like, they finally realized it too. They were like, yo, this ain't it. And they're going to pack it up and move on to 2025, apparently, what Scherzer said the GM told him.
Yeah, at the earliest.
Yeah. I also thought, to your Yankees point of a loser, the Giants.
Yep.
Thought they were losers. They made some marginal moves, like getting AJ Pollock, who, like, couldn't even find playing time in Seattle. Probably would have been DFA'd. They made very Farhan type moves, dude. They just made these, like, super marginal moves for these guys that aren't going to play a lot, but might be good platoon players. But I thought they could have made some noise, man, because they're right there. They have the wild card right now. They're only, like, 3 games back for the division. You know, like, I thought they could have gone out and got a starter, whether it be, you know, Jordan Montgomery or, you know, one of those other rental players. I thought that would have been huge for the Giants, and I thought that would have really put them at the forefront, because I don't know what it is about that team, AK, but they just find ways to win, dude, and they win the ugliest games.
And they're doing it, pitching bullpen games, like, every, like, 4th game. Like, they basically said, okay, we're not going to get a starter, right? Or much less get 2 starters that we really need. We're just going to pitch bullpen games every 4th day and 5th day.
Yep, it's insane, dude.
It's insane.
And it works, so it works.
And it works. Hey, look, I'm the first one to say that I will come on here and say I have lost money fading him.
Yep. It's been crazy, man, but that's kind of how Farhan is, dude. He came from, what's his name, Billy Bean. Like he learned under Billy Bean, and he's all about those platoon stats and matchups and heavy analytics. So I mean, it works. But you're right. I mean, how taxed is that bullpen gonna be by October though?
But I feel like we've been saying that since May. The Giants bullpen is taxed, right?
I know it's like every third day I'm like, bro, we gotta fade the Giants because they have like no relievers available today. But then Logan Webb goes out there and pitches 8 innings. Saves the bullpen.
Yeah, that was just an excruciating. Actually, back to the first part of the segue about the Diamondbacks, that was excruciating loss. Top of the first, Diamondbacks go up 2-0. We're like, okay, Logan Webb, here's some regression coming for him. And then if you got the +1.5, you lose 4-2, just excruciating. So
and they didn't get a hit for like 6 innings after that too.
Yep. Speaking of the Giants, though, the Sacramento River Cats up 3-0 in the bottom of the third right now with the guys on the corners. So let's go River Kitties.
Hey, I'm gonna say this though about AAA. No lead is safe in AAA.
Actually, we just scored again. We just hit another single that scored the guy from third. So 4-0. Oh yeah. Actually, with KBO as well, Jordan. So if you've kind of started following KBO, hanging out with me recently, and no lead is safe there either.
No, it's insane. But man, losing that River Cats game the other day, what was it, Sunday or 2 Sundays ago? They were up 5 in the bottom of the 9th and give up a 6 spot and lose the game.
Oh, it gets even better. If you remember, we were up by 9 going into the bottom of the 8th inning.
Yeah.
They allowed 4 runs in the bottom of the 8th and then 5 in the bottom of the 9th. And I just thought about trashing my entire house.
Yeah, dude, that was I was like, I can't bet AAA for like a week after that, dude. I had to seriously, oh my God, the Angels tied the game.
Yep, I'm sitting here watching it, and I didn't even want to bring it up to you.
On a Mike Moustakas 3-run home run, of course.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
So, Jordan, before we get into breaking down some big game breakdowns, man, this AAA ride has been fun. And, me and good friend of mine, Adam Trigger, good friend of the show, we've been kind of really nailing some AAA. But, it's kind of gotten funny. If you guys remember during the COVID season, like when KBO was like the only thing on, right? Remember ESPN was like, we're gonna put one game on a day, and before the KBO and ESPN had their feud, like it got impossible to get like an adult bet down, right? And so that's kind of how AAA is getting. Like we're getting cut off and limited like everywhere on AAA because it's such a sharp market that like one decent sized bet can like move the line like 30 cents. So you've got to just be ready to fire like at like the drop of a dime.
Yep. What was the beef between KBO and ESPN?
I can't remember, man. It's pretty elaborate, but like KBO basically ended up like taking away their international rights from TV. So that's why you can't watch KBO on like normal sports channels.
That's like terrible for the game though.
Yep. But if you remember during the COVID season when they were the only ones playing, ESPN was playing one game a day.
Yeah. That's just a way to just kill your game. That's like something the NBA would do.
So as a joke, like my attempt at humor, right? I try to always be the comic relief in group texts and things like that. But I put on my Twitter bio for a while that I was an advocate for KBO international rights.
Like it. Love it. All right, let's talk some games for tomorrow, AK. Let's start with Atlanta and Chicago. So just for full transparency here, there's not a lot of announced pitchers for tomorrow, so we only have a select handful of games to really pick from. So we're going to talk 3 that we picked out. First one's Atlanta and Chicago. Atlanta won 8-0 today in Chicago. Basically, they scored all their runs in 1 inning. Just an absolute meltdown by Kyle Hendricks. Somehow the under hung on, though. That was cool. But anyways,
Max Fried, after coming back from pitching for the Gwinnett Stripers, and actually he kind of got knocked around down in AAA.
Oh, he got shelled every start.
Yep, and he comes out and just pitches a gem today. Just to the credit of the variance of baseball. here's the thing. It looks like Elder will go for the Braves tomorrow, and I
Yep.
still haven't found who's going to go for the Cubs tomorrow. This
Javier
Braves
Assad
team,
for the Cubs.
okay, there you go. This Braves team, man, as a contrarian better, everybody's like, everybody's going to try to find the spot this week, right? This weekend with the Cubs.
Yep.
And this is what I would tell you. Take it for face value. The Braves are a very, very good team. And unless it's like the spot before the All-Star break when the Braves were like, we've got a billion guys in the All-Star game. Do we really care? The Rays have lost a couple games straight. That's a perfect spot for the Rays, right? Unless it's that, I'm not looking to get in front of this Braves team right now, Jordan. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to bet against them and I lose every time. So, but on the flip side, when I bet on them, they lose too. So it's like I just can't gauge that team. So, I don't know. They're just a tough team to gauge, man, because like their bullpen is pretty mid. So like if you can get to their bullpen early, they're definitely a beatable team. But at the same time, it's like they could put up 6 runs in any given inning. You know what I mean? And that's a tough thing to bet against, dude. Like, the Brewers go in there with a good pitching staff, good bullpen, and dude, they give up like 14 runs a game in that series. You know what I mean? So it's just a difficult team to handicap. Like the Braves have the best offense in all of baseball. They have the best lineup, hands down. But they definitely have deficiencies, AK, for sure. Like they're not a perfect team. And I think that's where you got to hang your hat on. So you just have to hope you get a good number and bet the number. Don't bet the team, bet the number. Yeah. And I think that's my best advice. As far as tomorrow, like Javier Assad's been great, but he's been pitching out of the bullpen lately. But his last 3 appearances, he's given up 0 earned runs. If you remember, on Monday we played the Cubs and Stroman. Stroman was awful, gave up 6 runs. But then Javier Assad comes in, pitches 5 innings of no-run ball, and lets the Cubs get back into it. So, I think this could be a good spot to fade Atlanta, to be honest. Am I going to do it? Probably not. But Bryce Elder, not high on him at all, AK. The dude is, talk about a guy that's due for regression. It's Bryce Elder. I faded him against the Red Sox. The Red Sox won that game, which was good. Julio Rodriguez finally hit with a runner on base. And he hit a home run. Shout out to Julio. J-Rod, let's go. But Bryce Elder, for example, AK, 3.18 ERA, 4.23 xFIP. So definitely some regression coming. 4.48 Sierra. So obviously he has a 270 BABIP. He does have a low whip, 1.19. Doesn't walk a lot of guys, but his K numbers are 17%, which is below league average. Things you don't like to see, honestly. Ground ball percentage, where's his ground ball? 53%, 28% fly ball. So his statistics tell you like this guy's just an average pitcher at best. And he has like a very low ERA right now. So there's definitely regression coming. It's when you find that regression. And I think that, this could be the spot because the Cubs are hot. They get shut out today. They got to bounce back.
Well, yeah. And there's always a lot of factors, man. When you get shut out in a game like that where, the Cubs are pretty hot coming into it, you can always, they say lose the game twice, right? So a spot that if I had to get in front of them, you're like, Aaron, we got to get in front of the Braves, which we've done before. I would say let's look for Sunday when Charlie Morton's on the mound against Steele. Let's see what happens tomorrow, right? And if Braves just come in there and just lay it to them again, might be a spot to jump in on the Cubs. But my problem with the Cubs, and I've talked to many people about this, is like, what do the Cubs do great?
Hit the ball.
They don't do a lot of things bad, right? They just don't do a lot of things great. They're kind of a middle tier team to me that is playing in a very bad division this year.
I think they're a really good offense. They've been hurt all year, and they're getting guys back now. Like Madrigal hasn't played in a while; he's back. They also went and got Candelario, which I think was a huge pickup. I like the Cubs offense. And I also think they have one of the best pitching staffs in this division, too. It's just, doesn't matter how good your pitching is. The Braves are going to be able to hit it. You just got to be able to hit the Braves pitching, right? And I think they can. The Cubs came into the day, They have the highest WRC plus against right-handed pitching since June. And then for the entire season, their WRC plus against right-handed pitching, they're 9th, 106 WRC plus, 160 ISO. So basically, that's what they hit righties really well. Now, your point on Justin Steele and Morton, I don't really love that Steele play because the Braves are the best team against left-handed pitching in the league. They absolutely fucking shell lefties, dude. That scares me. Against left-handed pitching, AK, the Braves this year, 132 WRC plus for the entire season, dude. A 241 ISO. That's unreal. That's insanity.
Padres tied it up. Runners in the corners, bottom of the fourth. Maybe we can get another run here across Jordan.
Who's up to bat? That's the problem. They're going.
We've got
Bobby Miller out.
the man himself, Trent Grisham, just grounded into a fielder's choice
To end the inning?
No,
there's 2 outs.
that was who. Yeah, Kim's up the bat. Let's get a base hit here.
They're pulling Bobby Miller right now.
Yeah.
And then Atlanta too, AK, in the last month of the season, Atlanta on the road against right-handed pitching, 83 WRC plus, 161 ISO. And if you remember, they went into Boston and they weren't good against Boston. Fenway's a very friendly hitter park, right? And they could not hit. So I do think that the Braves are somewhere in the middle of that Brewers and Red Sox series, right? They're not going to score 10 runs every game, and they're not going to score 1 run every game. So you just have to hope that you can score enough runs. And I think Bryce Elder is a guy that the Cubs can absolutely show. I think that's the guy. I actually like the Cubs tomorrow. I'm talking myself into it.
I said, man, Jordan's got some conviction here. I said, okay.
I'm talking myself into it, dude. This is
love it. Hey, when we do this and we just kind of round table things, we produce a lot of winners.
We do. And, I do my best work doing this. Every show for the last 2 months, I'm either 2-0 or 2-1. I haven't had a losing week, which probably means that whatever games I pick tonight are going to be losers.
With the amount of money that I have invested in college football futures that we've come up with from the show mostly, I'm hoping that holds true.
Oh, it has to, dude. I told you last year on the show, I had three for sure fire futures, and I hit all 3 of them. And one of them was an 8-1, which was Caleb Williams to win the Heisman Trophy.
That's right.
And he won. It's my claim to fame. All right, let's talk about this next game. D-backs versus the Twins. What's the final score of that game, AK? Is it still going on?
Last time I looked, it was oh wow. Here we go again. Same situation as yesterday. Got runners on the corners with 2 outs.
In the top of the 9th?
Yeah.
Who's up to bat? Marte. And he's 0 for 4. He's due for it.
Yeah, we just stole second.
Dang, the Twins are pitching. I swear to God, dude, Duran's arm is going to fall off, dude.
It was like what the Reds were doing to Alexis Diaz for a while.
Well, they haven't been able to use him a lot because they're either blowing teams out or getting blown out. It's been
it was when they kind of got hot there for a while and the season started turning around. You remember we pitched him 6 straight games.
Dude, it's insanity. I mean, and then he started pitching bad. I remember in that Houston series, he blew a couple saves. That's why these managers, they got to be like Brandon Hyde. Brandon Hyde will literally rest Bautista 3 straight days.
Wow, we got a full count here, Jordan.
Oh, the Padres just scored on a wild pitch. Let's go. Let's go.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, whoever's watching, me and Jordan are kind of just enjoying sweating out some bets. I'll be honest, I'm kind of on vacation mode, and I'll be completely honest, I've kind of been on vacation mode all week. So I'm counting down the minutes before I go on vacation tomorrow. So
love it. You gotta.
Marte struck out. Wow.
The Diamondbacks just can't get it going, man. But I'll tell you this:
they just can't get the hit, that one hit, right? That one hit that you need. They just cannot find it right now, and I don't know what the cure is.
Dude, maybe they should call up. Who do they got down in AAA right now? I know Jordan Lawler's not down there. They need to bring Pavin Smith back up.
Yeah, I like Pavin Smith. Yeah.
He doesn't hit for average, but he always gets those timely hits, dude.
You got Dominic Fletcher. I like him. He's batting leadoff down in AAA. You got Pavin Smith. I mean, there's some guys down there that can hit the ball. Like, that's the thing about the Diamondbacks that we talked about before the season. The Diamondbacks have a lot of young talent in that organization.
Yep. Agreed.
Like, Reno's playing great ball this year. Trust me, I've played the River Cats like a billion nights in a row playing against them. So ask me how I know.
Yeah. Oh shit. All right, so tomorrow we got
Rockies finished it off too. Let's go.
Nice. Good old Chris flexing, huh?
Hey, he pitched well tonight, man.
He's gonna get shelled his next game. All right, so for tomorrow, for the Twins and Diamondbacks, we have Ryan Nelson versus Kenta Maeda. Maeda's actually been really good lately. Right now I'm seeing we got Twins minus $1.58, Diamondbacks plus $1.45. You ready to take the Diamondbacks again or what?
I'm sitting here thinking about it. Like I'm sitting like as you're saying that, I'm like trying to find the words that I want to say about how much do I want to back this Diamondbacks team again? Because here's the thing: there's going to be positive regression again, right?
Yeah.
How many times do we see a team start off a little slow during the season, and then they catch fire, and then they taper back off again down the stretch, right?
Yep.
There's also a second side to that story. There's plenty of teams that come out the gate hot. They get cold through the dog days, July, and then here we go. It just takes like that 1 or 2 games in a row where like, okay, their confidence is back, their energy's back, and they're ready to swing the bat, right? And that's all it takes. Here's the problem. As you mentioned, and I never say his name right, Maeda, he's been better, right? He struggled kind of early on the season. He's got some positive. He's had some positive progression coming. And this Twins team, man, is that's another team that I have yet to figure out this year, and I struggle to figure them out since the beginning of the season. Like, Buxton's still kind of banged up. They're gonna throw Duran's arm out before we reach September 1st.
Yeah.
Right. And what do the Twins do really well? They got a pretty good starting lineup. I mean, rotation, right? Pretty good pitching. Yep. Duran's a pretty good closer, right? So they pitch well, but the only way I can look at this game, Jordan, and you might feel otherwise, is the Diamondbacks are going to win a game again. I promise.
Yeah. They're due. I mean, that's one thing that is for certain, dude. Just like that guy on Twitter that fades the Orioles every day. It's like, eventually he's going to win a game. And he's going to say, see, I told you so. And it's like, yeah, dude, if you fade them every day, you're going to
That's like your arch rival now. Like it's like awesome. It's like I can't wait for Jordan to retweet this. Like I almost just like want you to like bot it just so you can like retweet it every time he tweets something about the Orioles.
Dude, it's comedy, bro. Like, and this guy, he charges people for his picks, which is even more comedy. And now people are catching on. They're like, every day his play of the day is like whoever's playing the Orioles. Like yesterday, he laid minus $1.60 against the Orioles, and they fucking won. It's like, bro, sometime you just gotta hang it up, dude. You just gotta put your bias aside. I know he doesn't like him. He's a Nationals fan. For some reason, Nationals. For some reason, why do Nationals fans hate the Orioles? AK.
Well, it's like just close proximity, I think, and I'm here not too far from either of them, and I'm not a fan of either of them. But I love going to Baltimore, hanging out at Pickles, one of my favorite bars on the East Coast besides Vortex in Atlanta. I've never really understood that rivalry. Like, I just never understood it.
Like, I went to an Orioles and Nationals game in Baltimore, and Baltimore fans like didn't care less about the Nationals, but Nationals fans were like talking hella shit, and everyone's like, whatever, dude. Like,
yep,
just don't get it. So Ryan Nelson, Kenta Maeda. Ryan Nelson, he's been kind of up and down. He gave up 5 earned against St. Louis, but then came back against the Giants, went 6 2/3, only gave up 2 earned. He has a 4.84 ERA with a 5.27 xFIP and a 5.28 Sierra. He has a very low K percentage too, 14%. He has a 294 BABIP, so that should regress a little bit. 1.39 WHIP though. He does allow some base runners.
What's crazy about Ryan Nelson, like he has the craziest home and away splits like that you'll ever see in a pitcher. Home, he's got a 2-4 record, 8.01 ERA.
Yeah.
We're on the road, he's 4-1. He's pitched almost double the innings that he's pitched at home, and he's got a 2.67 ERA away. So he definitely pitches better on the road than he does at home.
Yeah, and it's not like he faces bad teams on the road either. It's like Giants, Braves.
Mm-hmm.
Braves, he went 7 innings, only gave up 2 earned. Against Toronto, he went 5 2/3, only gave up 1 earned. Against the Angels, went 7 1/3, gave up 1 earned. I mean, he's pitched really well against on the road against good teams.
Yep.
This might be the spot, AK.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no way Duran pitches tomorrow either. 0%
There's no
chance.
way. There's no way.
He pitched last night and he pitched tonight. And last night he pitched like 30 pitches too.
Yep. Almost gave it up, actually, just like he did tonight.
Yep. So there's 0 chance he pitches. I mean, I say that all the time, and then fucking these managers trot these dudes out there again. So who knows? But I would really doubt it. Did Gavin Jacks pitch tonight too? Because he pitched last night.
I know he pitched. I know he pitched yesterday.
Let's see here.
No, he didn't.
So he'll probably be their closer tomorrow. Last time he tried to close a game, he gave up a fucking 2-run shot to Colton fucking Wong.
Yep.
Who doesn't even have a team right now. He got DFA'd. Man, I'm kind of talking myself into the D-backs here, dude. I know they've been bad, bro, but I mean on the same token, it's not like Minnesota be raking either. Although they do have a 123 WRC plus against right-handed pitching, 210 ISO in the last 30 days. And over the course of the season, 108 WRC plus, 182 ISO. I mean, they definitely hit righties, but let's see how he pitches at lefties. And Ryan Nelson's actually better against lefties than he. He's basically the same against lefties and righties.
It's about wash. Yeah. Yep.
Interesting stuff here. This is a tough one, man, because like you said, that those home road splits. I mean, we have enough sample size throughout the course of the year. Like that's pretty legit.
Oh yeah, I mean he's pitched 80 innings on the road and 50 at home. That it's a good sample size.
Who did the Diamondbacks pitch in their bullpen today?
Just Castro, Mago, and that's pretty much it.
Dude, Sewald hasn't even pitched a game for them yet.
Nope.
He definitely is pitching tomorrow, regardless if they win or lose, because they have to get him work. There's no way that he can go like a week without pitching.
He'll pitch. He'll be available. Gilbert will be available. Like some of their better, bullpen guys, which it's crazy to say, but the Diamondbacks have actually started putting together a decent bullpen.
Yep.
We talked about it earlier about the pitching's been better, right? So, they're better guys. Like Ginkel will be available tomorrow. All those guys will be available.
And on the flip side, Kenta Maeda's home road splits 6.45 ERA at home, 3.16 ERA on the road.
Yeah, I think this is we've been saying this, but if you're looking at the spot alone, it sets up well for the Diamondbacks. Very well, actually, Jordan.
Yeah, this definitely might be the D-backs play here. They're plus 145 right now. I think that number is going to get bet down. I would bet this line closes at plus 1. It's going to move at least 15 cents.
Yep. Shoot, you can still find the run line out there plus 1.5 for at minus 140 if you can stand a little juice.
Yeah, that's not even a bad play either. Because the Twins aren't going to blow anyone out. They play close games all the time.
Yep. And especially with Jax, if he's going to be the guy in the high leverage situation, you always got a shot.
Yep. And they got rid of Jorge Lopez, too. They traded him for fucking, what's his name from Miami? Dylan Floro, who is
Yep.
not having a very good year either. So traded one guy not having a good year for another guy not having a good year. All right, let's just let's cruise through this game real quick because this game's going on right now too. The Mariners and Angels 7-5 right now. Mariners are winning. Tomorrow we got Kirby versus Tyler Anderson on the bump. Right now I'm seeing this game about
-130.
yeah $1.30, $1.32 to Seattle plus $1.21 for the Angels. Now, one thing we used to be able to do pretty frequently was anytime the Mariners were facing a lefty, you could just like automatically fade them because they couldn't hit lefties. Well, those days are long gone because the Mariners have actually been hitting lefties recently a little better.
And we talked a little off air, Jordan, about the Mariners. The Mariners were a team I was very high on coming into the season. I actually have bet on them to win the division. I have a bet on them to win the AL, and I even have a small bet on them to win the World Series. So that shows you how high I was on them. Coming to the season, they're hot right now, man. They've kind of hit the reset button after the All-Star break came out, and like you said, swinging the bats well, finding ways to win games. I know they went up early today and showed some resilience, but they've showed some resilience in games they went down, came back in, and that team's hot right now. I think a lot of the Mariners. I love George Kirby. Obviously, to really truly cap a game, you have to see what all happens in today's game.
Yep.
As far as especially bullpen usage, how the game plays out, things like that. But George Kirby has been a bet on. Since last year. So is Logan Gilbert. And we talked off air, but I think the Mariners might make the playoffs, man. They may have a chance to get in. And what do they say? You just got to get in, right?
Gotta get in. Yep. And they have the pitching to do it. I mean, they're only 3 games back of the final wild card. Toronto's ahead of them. Toronto lost Bo Bichette. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. And that's a huge blow. Plus, they're not pitching as well. Gausman hasn't been pitching as well. Manoah, obviously, he's not back. And then you got Boston ahead of you as well. And Boston, they're such a streaky team, AK. It's insane. Like, they'll win 6 in a row and then they'll lose 6 in a row. Like, that's just how they've been all year. They're coming off 2 straight losses right now. 3 straight, actually. Toronto won tonight, right?
They did, yep.
Yeah, so 3 straight losses.
Manoah actually pitched well, man.
Yep, he did. And for some reason, Toronto loves playing well in Boston. Like, they always play well in Boston. And then you got Houston and Tampa ahead of you. Tampa, they're really far up. I don't know if you have a chance of catching them, but, Houston's in your division. I think they still have like 4 or 5 games left against Houston this year, so maybe 6 games. So, there's always that chance that they could definitely make the playoffs, man. And like I said, they got the pitching staff to do it. They just got to swing the sticks. But, if they win.
The bats have come around. They really have. We've seen, especially since the All-Star break.
Yeah. If they win tonight, I don't know if I would play them tomorrow just because they would be coming off 2 straight wins against Atlanta or the Angels, and then they would be coming off 3 straight wins overall. Their bullpen is a little taxed, but so is the Angels. The Angels' bullpen's pretty bad too. The way I might look at playing that game is maybe playing the first 5 under or first 5 side, but you're going to be paying some heavy juice with Kirby. Yeah. I don't really like doing that on the road. It would be like -150 for Kirby first 5. I'm not too sure about that.
And I'm the maniac that isn't afraid to back a team that's lost 5 games straight, but doesn't like backing a team that's won 3 games in a row. What a lunatic!
I mean, dude, the team has to win a game at some point once they start losing that many. It's like it's gotta come back around. I mean, that's how it was with Tampa.
I like George Kirby though, man, and I have for 2 years now.
Yeah, Kirby's nice. He's probably their best pitcher if we're being completely honest.
I agree.
Stuff wise and everything. So that's kind of my thoughts. I don't have an official play on the M's Halos. I'm looking at the first 5 under. That's probably the way I would attack it. But I think I definitely talked myself into the Cubs money line, which is probably not the right idea because getting in front of that Braves team. But I do like that spot. I think that's a good spot. And then I do like the D-backs tomorrow too.
I do as well.
I think that's a good spot. 2 pitchers with reverse splits. Ryan Nelson.
What could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
I just really do like. They call it we always talk about the buy sign, right? Or what's telling you to buy. The D-backs being in the game in the bottom. I mean, well, top of the ninth in the last few games.
Yeah, they just need that hit.
That hit is coming, right? It's coming, and then I feel like once that hit comes, they're gonna like rattle off like 8 of 9, right, or 8 of 11. Like they're just gonna have that confidence again, man. You played baseball just like I did. You have to have confidence going up to the mound. It doesn't matter if you're Mickey Mantle or Ty Cobb, right?
Yep.
You gotta have or a JV baseball coach that didn't play past middle school. You gotta have confidence every time you step up to the plate. And I just don't think the D-backs have it right now. But they've been in games. They've been in every single one of their games.
Yep. It's not like they're getting blown out at all.
Nope. And they're a hit away from rattling off 5 of 6.
Yep. I mean, they very well could have won those games. They were literally like coin flip type games. So,
yep.
I think that's a good spot for Arizona tomorrow, dude. Given the fact that Duran's definitely not going to pitch, and just think it's a very good spot for them. Before we get out of here, I did want to ask you about your Cincinnati Reds too.
Yeah. So,
scuffling.
Another team that kind of lives and dies by pitching, right? They've found ways to win games. They found ways to lose games. Alexis Diaz tonight, actually. Did you watch any of that game, Jordan?
I didn't. He blew the game.
Yeah. Yeah. So Alexis Diaz comes in there, and they bring Diaz in the 9th, but then they keep him in the top of the 10th, and yeah, he gets rocked by the Nationals.
The Nationals are hot right now, dude.
So are the Kansas City Royals.
The Royals are too. Yeah,
just beat the Philadelphia Phillies tonight too. I think that's 7 in a row for the Kansas City Royals. Royals are another team with Witt and those guys that I know it wasn't this year, and they've been awful this year, but that was another team that had an uptick in them, and we're seeing it now.
Yeah, their starting pitching kind of fucking held them back a little bit, but yeah, I think it's interesting. We talked about this around the All-Star break too. Is that like the second half of the year, you kind of want to look at those teams that are going to be dogs because they'll upset a lot of teams, right? The Royals and the Nationals are 2 of those teams that are very similar to the Diamondbacks last year and the Orioles, right? Where they were 2 young teams that they didn't care, they didn't know any better, they were just going out there and playing baseball and having fun. They were
fighting
teams
for their jobs.
Yep.
If anything, they're fighting for next year. You talk about playing up or getting up or however you want to, whatever you want to call it. I call it getting up. You want to talk about team. It's that young team that says, man, I want to play next year, right? I want a job next year. I want a starting job next year. Whether it's for the team I'm playing for or just a team, I want the opportunity. And coming out here swinging the bat in August and September, you know, the teams that had the high expectations coming into the season, the Cardinals tonight, right?
Mets.
The Mets, the White Sox. Well, the White Sox may be don't get me started on that subject, but they had some expectations coming into the season, right? And for lack of a better word, they kind of give up, right?
Ooh.
Or do they give a shit about coming out and playing the Washington Nationals on a Friday night?
They don't. And on the same note, like the Kansas City Royals of the world and the Nationals, they're probably looking at these teams like, hey, we're not going to make the playoffs. Let's take them out of the playoffs.
Sure.
That's their playoff type atmosphere.
Before we finish this segment, Jordan, I'll give you one more little plug there. The Pittsburgh Pirates are another one.
Yep. Pirates, even though they got fucking mollywopped last night.
Yeah, they come back tonight and beat the Brewers basically with their AAA guys.
Yep.
With 4 guys that were in AAA. Like I was betting on them like 2 months ago.
Yep. Nah, these young teams are gonna be calling up their young guys now that they're out of the race and just to see what they have for next year. You know what I mean? That's to your point. These guys want to show that they belong at the major league level. So It's definitely
Yeah, I was just like blindly betting the Indianapolis Indians for a while, and now now you can't do it because these guys are all starting for the Pittsburgh Pirates every day now.
yeah, it's not good. Did they call up Termar?
No, they haven't yet. No.
Did they move him up to AAA?
Actually, I haven't paid attention.
Oh my God, the Angels just tied it again.
Oh, what did somebody hit a home run?
Yeah, Mickey Moniak.
That's another guy that just seems to get the hit. Like if the Diamondbacks could get that random hit for Mickey Moniak, right? It feels like he just always puts the hit in.
Dude, I mean, he's a former #1 overall pick, so he's finally coming.
He's not on
around.
AAA yet, Jordan.
He'll probably get called up here soon.
But yeah, the Pittsburgh Pirates literally have like 4 guys that were on the actually their pitcher tonight was pitching for the Indianapolis Indians for a while.
he actually looked decent.
Yes, he did.
Dang, I can't believe.
And the Brewers are another team that I can't figure out. Like they win games I don't think they're supposed to, and then they lose games I don't think they're supposed to. Like
they're very Jekyll
Devin
and Hyde.
Jekyll and Hyde, yep. And you never know what bats you're going to get. Some days those bats just come in alive, and next it just seemed like they just couldn't care at all.
Yep, 100% agree. 100%. All right, let's get. Do you have any best bets for tomorrow yet?
Yeah, Jordan. I just going back to the well here. A team that I know who they are and what they can be. They just got to remember that. Ryan Nelson's been pitching well on the road all season. Almost 80 innings pitched. He's pitched well on the road. And at the end of the day, I still don't think the Twins are that good of a team. I think the Diamondbacks start getting this hit. They've been in every game that they've lost this week. I love the Diamondbacks plus 1.5 tomorrow.
Yep, we're gonna make it a squad ride because I like the Diamondbacks too. I think it's a great spot for the Diamondbacks tomorrow. So Diamondbacks squad ride, let's go. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us. Man, thanks for joining us. Thank you for always coming on. We really appreciate y'all. AK, thank you for coming on, man. Love talking baseball with you. It's always a fun time. I'll be back on Sunday with Big Ball and Ben Larson and Irvin Washington, Swervin' Irvin. Hopefully, AK will be joining us next Wednesday from South Carolina for the Pac-12, the final Pac-12 preview. Rest in peace to the Pac-12, man. But if he can't join us, that's okay. He'll probably be enjoying, some drinks and whatnot in South Carolina, man. So
I plan on drinking a lot of Vivas. Actually, got my Viva shirt on tonight, so I will be smashing some Vivas.
Nice.
And hopefully we're all smashing the River Cats here. Bottom of the 5th, we're up 4-1. Jordan playing well, so need to finish that one off tonight too, and that would be a 4-0 day in AAA. So
let's go, man. Let's go. I love it. AK, have fun on your vacation, brother. For Aaron Kidd, Jordan, stacks on stacks on stacks. We'll catch y'all later. Peace. Have a good weekend.